Today we are talking about The Ruins by Scott Smith. A nice short little horror novel. I finished the whole thing in a day. So it's a nice quick read. So let's talk about it. No spoilers, of course, to start out with. What is it about? It's about a couple of couples who are down in Mexico just off for a nice beach vacation, get away from the world, forget about everything. And they're down there for several weeks. So over the course of time, they meet some other people, some other tourists. They meet a guy from Germany, this group of Greek guys who they can't understand. They just get together and drink with them every once in a while. Yeah, so they're just enjoying themselves, you know, killing time, enjoying the days until after they go back to the real world. Well, one day they find out that the German guy, the guy they've been hanging out with a lot, his brother has left. He's no longer hanging out on the beach. Apparently, he met some girl who was working up on some dig site of these ancient ruins. And his brother's a little worried about him. Their flight still isn't for a few more days, and his brother said, "Don't worry, I'll be back before then." But his brother still worries, which I would be too. And I think this book was written in 2006 or whatever, so this was before smartphones and good signals. And yeah, it's not no easy way to just be able to get in touch with people. So the German guy, he's like, my brother, he left this map, or the girl gave him this map of where they were going, where these ruins were. And he's like, he asked these two couples, these four Americans, it's like, can you guys help go with me? Go with me and try to find these ruins and just let me help me find my brother. Let's bring him back. And at first, well, they don't want to go. But somebody they're a little too nice and they're like, oh yeah, sure, sure, okay, we'll go. And then of course all of them are like, all right, well if you go, then I gotta go. And then okay, we'll all go. They don't want to go, but they're in it now. So it's the German guy, these two couples, and one of the Greek guys for some reason. And apparently they change their names all the time. So he decides today his name is Pablo. So Pablo the Greek goes with them. They get on a bus, I believe, and then they have to find a cab. And when they get there in the cab driver's like, when they finally stop there, the cab driver's like, why do you want to be here? This place is no good. They're like, yeah, we got to go find her. But he's like, no, 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 no. Just get back in the cab and I'll drive you back to the bus stop. They're like, we're all right. Thanks, thanks. Well, we've got a map. We'll be just fine. So they leave, start walking into the jungle. They come across this little village where people are living pretty primitively, don't speak any English. They keep walking along, and a couple of the kids from the village start like following them until they get deeper and deeper into the jungle, and suddenly the kids like freak out and just run off. And they're like, well, that's kind of weird. So they're getting further along. They come to this clearing with a hill, and they hear uh, horses coming. The clop clop of hoofs running, dashing their way. And of course, the guys who show up, they're armed and they're like yelling, but of course, there's no English. It's like, oh, the people are like, whoa, what's going on here? What's going on here? Eventually, the tourists they start backing up this hill, and when they back up this hill, the guys who are like, pointing guns at them and shouting at them are just kind of like, they just stop. They're like, hmm. Oh, that's kind of weird. And then they kind of like start pointing to him, like, go up that hill. So they go up there, and that's where they see the dig site. They see tents. They see a big hole that goes way, way, way down, but no people. No people there. So they're up there looking around, like, where are the people? And that's when they hear this chirping coming down from this mine shaft, down in this hole. This chirping. It sounds like a cell phone, and they're like, "There's a phone." It's like, all right, let's go down and get it. So they start lowering a guy down to go get this cell phone. And that's when all the fun starts to happen. So this book is pretty good. Not the best thing I've ever read, but it's pretty good. And it all takes place in a very small area. This area and these ruins and this hill, that's where you are for the whole book. So if you don't like that kind of thing where you're just sitting in one spot, because it's a survival horror, that's what it turns into. Survival horror, people having to deal with, you know, different things. I'm trying to think of what to say without spoiling too much. Let's just say they're out there for a while and they got to survive. Of course, there's other creepier things going on that they're fighting, not just hunger and thirst and just keeping their minds focused, that kind of stuff. So it was pretty good. It was slow for the first, I don't know, half or so. Because, with these survival horrors, that first day is all right. Second day, it's still kind of all right. It's okay and it's okay for a while. And then it suddenly, you know, it goes bonkers. Maybe you have little problems day one, day two. There's little things, or something. It seems like a setback or something happens. You're like, don't worry about it. Da, 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 da. But then all these little things pile up, and then suddenly you're just in a mound of problems, and that's when your mind finally goes. So it is a survival horror. There is some. It's hard to say what it is. Supernatural, something going on. I don't know if it's supernatural. It's definitely physical. But what is it? That's for you to find out what they're dealing with up there. Um, it was pretty good. And the ending, this did have a nice, good horror story ending. If you watch some of my other reviews when I've kind of like given my expectations of what I thought was going to happen in books, this one was for me. Yeah, when this ending happened, you're just like, ooh, okay, yeah, good job, book. So yeah, there it is. Like I said, one day to read it. So if you're looking for a quick read, something you just download quick, if you're having a EPUB or something like that, it's fine. It's a fine, good read. Like I said, a little slow at the beginning, but it finishes pretty strong. So we'll jump into spoilers now. So if you have not read it, go read it and then come back and listen to the spoiler section. Spoilers, let's talk about it. So, of course, they lowering Pablo down, and the vines get all caught up in the acid or whatever, and ooh, he takes a fall. In the way, some of the descriptions about when who is it goes down after him? Is it Eric? Eric, because he cuts his knee on the glass from the lantern. The descriptions of Pablo like flailing, like his arms and torso flailing around, but no movement from his legs. And as someone with back problems, I just hated reading about that and breaking his back and what it must feel like, the pain and his screaming. It was like, yeah, that hit a little close. But the chirping, I don't understand. He kept seeing when he was down there, and whatever girl that came down later, Stacy or Amy, and they were seeing like the lit balloon things. Did we ever find out what those were, or were those just like how do you say, bioluminescent flowers? I don't know. I was hoping the whole time for more stuff down in the pit. I kind of thought that was going to be their way out, because for so long they were just up and above, and there's clearly nowhere for them to go, especially after a while. So when they went back down into the pit, I was a little disappointed that they found that secondary hole and you saw the bones and whatnot. But I just kept thinking there would be something more that we would learn or find out from down there. So that was a little disappointing, but I guess there's enough horror up on the surface. So let's go to Eric with that cut in his leg. And this stuff creeps me out. How he's got stuff crawling in him the whole time, right? First, he wakes up and the vine is inside that cut. And when they try to pull it out, it breaks off, so it's still inside him. And he just kept saying, like, oh, my, was it his chest? He's like, it feels tight or it feels funny. I can feel something here. Ooh, man, if there's something I do not want to ever happen to me is that something living inside of you can feel moving around. It's like, oh, it's here today. Now it's here. When I try to do something here, I can feel it move, like it's recoiling and going somewhere else. Ugh. Especially later on when it gets more and more. And that poor guy, they cut him so many times, and he cuts himself trying to pull stuff out. But yeah, that was just awful. And then of course we'll get to his end in a little bit. But what I was talking about, how everything's fine, and you're like, okay, this kind of stinks, but sure, everything's gonna work out, right? This is life, things work out. 9 times out of 10, things work out. Not this time. But eventually, when they're getting lower on food and the water, and they have to start save their urine, of course, one of the girls or both of them were just like, oh no, not happening. But what was I gonna say? Where was I going? Oh, when finally, after I don't remember how many days, finally they just eyed the tequila, and you know what? They're like, screw it, give me that bottle. Glug glug glug, who's gonna join me? And we're all just gonna sit here and drink, because screw it. I totally understood that. I'm like, yeah, Yeah, I don't know what day that would happen for me, but eventually you just be like, raise the middle one to somebody and be like, screw you. I'm having a bad week. I've been good for several days. I'm going to take a break. And I know this is going to hurt tomorrow, but screw it. Saw that coming. Saw that coming. And totally understand it. So we get the parts where they're going down the hill, and who was it? Was it someone, Jeff maybe, who was sneaking around at night? And as soon as he started getting down closer to the bottom of the hill, he hears like birds chirping, or the birds. Every time he would go closer, the birds. But when he went back up, no sound, no sound, right? And when he was going down, the vines were thicker and kind of getting around him. But when he was going back up, no problem. So that was interesting. It was creepy how we eventually learned that the flowers on the vines were the ones making the chirping sound, trying to lure people down into the shaft. Not only that, they could mimic laughing. And then when they get into the talking, like the conversations people were just having and the shouting at each other, and then hearing that again and again, what was it? Slut, bitch, that would drive me insane. If flowers, not only the fact that, holy cow, flowers are doing it, but just them doing that and no way to make them stop. Because you imagine that could just go on for hours. And that would drive me insane. I wouldn't rather have something crawling inside me than have that happen. But yeah, when they kept doing that, I'm like, ooh, this is gonna mess with some people. So that was pretty rough. So let's go ahead and go back to Eric. Get towards the end of this, where he just flays himself, and him too, just like everybody's mind becoming more and more lost of themselves. Eventually, when you can feel that stuff and you've already cut yourself and pulled stuff out, eventually you are just like, where is it? More, I feel more. Just cut here, get it all out. And when they come back up on the hill and he's just practically flayed himself open everywhere, it's like, oh man. You could totally understand by that point what he had been feeling and going through. You could understand why he had done it, and you could see yourself doing that and be like, if I was going crazy and that was happening, I probably would just be like, again, like the tequila, it's just like, screw it, go all in. Yeah, that was nasty, nasty. And then at the end, of course, he just wants her to kill him, which understandable. And then poor, what's his face? I forgot the German guy's name who wanted to stop him and actually got stabbed. And another nasty detail, when he ran into him, he got stabbed between the ribs, and you could see the tick tock of his heartbeat from the end of the knife. You're like, oh, all right, good job, Mr. Smith. That's a horrible detail. And then who was it? What happened to Jeff? What am I thinking of? Oh, he got so far out of there and they shot him with heroes. Just remembered. But yeah, and then how many days after? Let me look here on my notes. How many days after? Because Amy shot herself, right? Amy fired, or what happened to Amy? Oh, she cuts her arms. That's right. She goes to the bottom hill because she wants to kind of die there and to be a warning for other people. And I thought this was going to turn into. There's a movie called The Mist that came out not quite 20 years ago. I think with Dennis Quaid was in it. If you haven't seen the movie, sorry, I'm kind of about to spoil the ending. But the ending of that movie made me so mad with what happened, and I was a little worried that was going to happen in this one when she cuts herself, dies there, and I was certain like the Greeks were going to come walking up right then, or like even the next day. Even the next day would have been horrible. Be like, one more day. That's all you had was one more day. But no, 3 days. It's like, okay, 3 days. I can handle a little better. Because you imagine all of them standing up there for 3 more days and they're already terrible conditions. I don't think that would have been too good. But the same thing happens with them, right? They're going through, heading towards the hill, but in their case, the horsemen get there too late, right? They hear the horse. I think it says they hear the horses as they start going up the hill, or they never heard it before they got going up the hill, and that's how the book ends, right? They just going up the hill, and you're like, ooh, yeah, I like that. I like that because nothing is resolved. This horrible thing that exists there for some reason, which we never learn the answer to, is still there, and the story's just gonna keep going round and round. People are going to keep getting lured there. And yeah, the never-ending story is just little variations on the same story. So I like that kind of creepy ending. I almost thought that she might get rescued too, like by herself. Or yeah. The worst thing would have been had she been still alive after she cut herself to bleed out, and then she saw people and been like falling down with a shocked face. That would have been awful. And I would have been a little mad. Uh, but it was all right. It was all right. Like I said, for a one-day read, can't complain about it. A little slow at the beginning, but it ended pretty good for me. If you have read it, leave a comment down below for me. I'm gonna be moving on to some non-horror stuff, get back into the regular routine. But it's been interesting reading all these horror books, back to back. Got plenty of scares and freaky things to think about and haunt my dreams for a while. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you like and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and I will see you for the next one. See ya.